Philly Foodworks is an online farmers market where you can shop a diverse variety of fresh, local produce, as well as local meats, dairy products, baked goods, and pantry items, all delivered right to your door. Supporting Philly Foodworks means not only eating healthier, but also contributing to our local sustainable economy. An impressive 90% of every dollar spent stays within the Philadelphia region. Visit phillyfoodworks.com and use the code CITYCAST to receive 20% off your first 3 orders. Plus, enjoy a free pound of strawberries. That's phillyfoodworks.com. Philly's food scene is hot, and everybody knows it. That's why when you look around the city, new restaurants are popping up everywhere. But many of them, they're not from here. They're coming from Texas, New York, DC, California, all over the country to set up shop in our city. So senior producer Abby Fritz, newsletter editor Siani Colón, and I have some ground rules for these newcomer restaurants. And we talk about which ones are doing it right. It's Monday, May 18th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and we're going to talk about where to eat, even if a restaurant is from out of town. Why are out-of-town businesses so attracted to Philly?
I mean, what's there not to like? But I did look into this a little bit. I read an article from the Inquirer from a few years back, and it says that like New York and DC businesses have been eyeing Philly for years because like actual retail space and like restaurant space is cheaper to rent or buy in the area than in other major cities around. Also, the cost of living for workers is lower in comparison to those cities. So, I mean, like just in 2024 alone, a dozen NYC-based restaurants opened or like made plans to open in Philly. And then, you know, when we think about Michelin, I think like it's not a secret that we have an incredible food scene and a very tight-knit, dedicated culinary community. So why not? There's a market for people that love great food. And with all those other cost-related things, it seems like it would be smart for businesses to come here.
That's a good point about affordability, because we already see that conversation being played out when it comes to housing, like folks coming in from other major cities because Philly's the right price. But then you turn to longtime Philadelphians who may be struggling and are like, cheap? Yeah. Where?
Right.
And then that kind of makes me think about potential business owners in Philly who could offer something similar to these outside businesses, but they're hindered by, you know, the process of zoning and licensing and all the fees that come with it. So it's like, how many great potential like Philly-owned businesses are we losing out on because of time and money to get it off the ground that is not hindering these other businesses because it's so much cheaper to them compared to New York.
Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking like a lot of the businesses that I noticed that are like quote unquote out of towners, they're like chains as opposed to like more like mom and pop businesses.
Yeah, and I know that was something that was like a little bit controversial a few years back in like Fishtown, where, you know, we've seen so much rapid development, even just the past decade alone. And like on Frankfurt Ave, there were plans to, you know, when they first announced adding the Shake Shack and the Sweet Green. And some people were like, oh, I love Shake Shack, can't wait for that. While others were like, no, we want to keep this very like neighborhood, like hyper local, small business oriented, because he already had like some neighborhood cafes that were already starting to disappear and being replaced by more upscale restaurants, which we have since seen has continued to be a pattern in a neighborhood with these larger, maybe pricier restaurants coming in. So that was like a real concern people had of like these larger chains coming in that, you know, could a mom and pop, like you said, offer that and, you know, keeping that neighborhood spirit.
Okay, so what is one out of town business, you know, their roots started in a different city? What out of town business would you recommend to a lifelong Philadelphian to eat at right now that would change their lives?
I change your lies. Let's maybe like go down just a peg, maybe just a good little time.
Yeah, good time. You would recommend.
Worth it. Worth a
worth
try.
the price.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll say, sticking to fish towns, as I mentioned that, I'll say I really liked Mecha Noodle Bar. They're originally from Connecticut and have since expanded, but I think they fit in really well. I will say, I know the closer you get to Chinatown, the more ramen and pho options you have. And there's even a few ramen spots near Fishtown as well. So it's not like there's a complete absence, but some parts of the city, you're in this weird little in-between where, there's not as many of that particular cuisine available. So I went in there one night with friends after getting caught in the rain, and we were really desperate for a place to eat. And I really liked it. It was my first time. It was very spacious, good lighting, because that's one of my pet peeves. It's like you might as well have a flashlight to eat in restaurants these days. And the staff was amazing. That definitely helped with the experience. But when it came to the food, I got a big bowl of Kinoken vegan ramen, and I did my best to finish it because it was so much. That was one thing I'll hand to them. The portions and serving size were just right, even enough that maybe if you wanted to take some home, you could do that. So it was nice to have that option available because my typical spots may have been something close to Chinatown. So it's nice to have something a little bit more north.
I was there for the opening of Mecha Noodle Bar. What I did like is the cocktail and the non-alcoholic drink options as well. And not super fancy, like you have to like dress up. It's like kind of casual too. So yes, I recommend Mecha too.
Well, speaking of Chinatown, I love Luscious Dumplings. It's originally from LA. They have one location out in LA, and they came in 2024 to Philly. The location out in California has a Bib Gourmand, which is basically like a Michelin nod. We have a bunch in Philly now that have this recognition as well. Basically just means they make really good food and they're still affordable for the most part. And I definitely think this fits the bill. This is my favorite spot for takeout soup dumplings specifically. You have to try the snow crab and pork soup dumplings. Whether you're getting it in the restaurant or you're getting it delivered, they really hold well. I think that's important for that type of like dumpling in particular. I
never had a crab dumpling.
It's really good. I'm a big seafood fan, so maybe I'm biased, and they have a bunch of other like pork and beef and all this stuff. But give it a try. It's
no,
nice
yeah,
and sweet.
I think I would like it. And soup dumplings are, I think, more flavorful than like a fried or steamed dumpling, in my opinion.
Agreed. And they're on like DoorDash and Uber Eats, so it's a good delivery option. They also have those really, I feel like you've probably seen these on Instagram. They have these really cute custard buns that look like little pigs. Like they have little pig faces, and they're so cute. You almost don't want to eat them. I think it's also that they can pump out so much stuff. They have this machine that allows them to churn out like 6,000 dumplings an hour, so they really can keep up with the like online delivery orders and stuff too. They've really locked in on what they're good at, and it is dumplings. So.
Okay, that makes sense because I do remember now I have eaten here. It was like one of the first places I ate in the beginning of the new year, and I was impressed by how quickly things are coming out of that kitchen.
It's small. It's kind of small.
Yeah, but and I like that, despite it being quick, everything was still good because sometimes you have to be concerned when things come out a little too fast. But no, those dumplings were awesome, and definitely agree with the soup dumplings for sure.
Absolutely. How about you, Trenae?
Okay, so it's a battle of sweets. Okay, so my favorite out of town business, Levain cookies.
Yeah.
I don't know any Philly based cookie brand that's making these chunky cookies the way that they do. I mean, this bakery has roots in Manhattan, New York, and it was established back in like 95, making these cookies because the bakers are also triathletes, and they made the chocolate chip walnut cookie to give them enough energy during the training that they did. And so I always bring like my family from out of town. I take them straight to Walnut Street and I'm like, we're getting a freaking cookie.
Because who doesn't like a cookie? It will appease everyone.
Shout out to my friend Len because we were hanging out. We went to Mission for tacos. And I was like, Len, let's get some cookies. And he's like, all right, well, I mean, 4th Street cookies is not around. I'm like, nah. 4th Street is good, but I'm taking you to Levain. And he was like, I don't know. And he's a lifelong Philadelphian. So I think I possibly convinced a lifelong Philadelphian to change his cookies, but I don't know. He's still pro 4th Street, which is still good. But
there's room for both.
Yeah. My God.
They have become my go-to for like if there's like a little gathering with friends and I'm that person who forgot to get something. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make that Levain order real quick. I will ignore the price that I see.
I was just about to say because Levain ain't cheap,
especially when you're ordering that bundle. But they have in a cute like tin that I like that it's something that you can like save as a little memento and put other mementos in. But yeah, It, at least for the price, it's worth it.
We had Levain at our last CityCast Philly Neighbors event, correct, right?
Yes, and it was so great, like eating a Levain cookie while we're cheering on the Broad Street runners.
I tried the lemon cookie that day, and I think it like rewired my brain. So I was like, I will be going back for that for sure.
They had a carrot cake cookie. My favorite is like the OG, like walnut chocolate chip. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there an out-of-town business that's serving up things that otherwise wouldn't exist in Philly?
I feel like for me, it's not so much about the food as it is the experience. Like I know we've been mentioning a bit the growing population of like late night coffee shops, from Haraz, MOTW. We're getting a Kawa House coming to Old City because there's like so many cafes that like open at 8 and then close by 2. Some of them sometimes even earlier. And it's like, I would like a place.
You mean like 2 p.m.?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 2 p.m. So it's like I would like a place that, is open a little bit later. Like, what if I want my coffee later? Or just like a place to exist that, that is not a bar sometimes. Just a place that isn't my house. So I like that, more of these businesses are coming in that are intentionally designed to be open longer and creating these like social, hospitable environments. Like Haraz is regularly hosting community events thanks to these later hours. So I appreciate that and, hope other homegrown businesses see the desire for that and adapt.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said about like filling in any gaps, that our scene may have. One that hasn't opened yet that I'm excited for is Otta, which is coming out of New York. It's from Unapologetic Foods, and they've really championed like innovative Indian cuisine over there. And they've done really well. One of their other restaurants has a Michelin star, and so they're opening a location in Fishtown. It's meant to be opening soon, so I'm really looking forward to that. A chain that I'm excited for that's coming to Philly is Ayat. It's expected to expand to Center City. This has been years in the making. They've been trying to get this sorted for quite some time, and it's meant to happen soon. So I'm really looking forward to that. They're an authentic Palestinian restaurant chain, also coming from New York.
Have you guys been to their New York location?
I haven't. Have you?
I have the last time I was in New York, and I would say it's definitely worth it. The food was just like so good, fills you right up. So I was like, okay, I'm glad to see that we're getting it. Just impatiently waiting for them to finally open.
Yeah, they're going to be at Sansom, like right off of 20th when they open. And I think it's meant to be pretty soon here. So looking forward to that.
All right, Abby, Siani, speaking of New York, I went over to South Street once and I tried the Brooklyn dumpling.
You're pretty good at that.
And it was like a lot of hype around it, okay? And, this might not be a New York accent, but maybe something
You're committing.
So I fell into the hype. Everyone's talking about these Brooklyn dumplings because you can order on a kiosk. Whoa. Yeah. I mean, we could do that at Wawa, though. Picking up a dumpling in a locker. Whoa. But I was like, all right, like, how much of this is like social media hype? is it a gimmick that gets you to fall in love with the place, or is the food good?
Don't even get me started. I feel like the gimmick helps you learn about it, but I feel like more often than not, it just does not live up to it. At least with the case of Brooklyn dumpling, I know I wanted to try it because like I read about like Philly's own history with automats, like the old horn and hard art in Center City. So this is kind of like reviving that style of like a luncheon. But like I went and it was like me and one other person in there. And the dumplings were all right. Like
it was mid. It was mid. Just say it was. It was mid.
Like the whole locker thing is like, okay, I guess, but I'm just tired of this whole concept of things being Instagrammable. I just care that the food is good. Like, just take away all these gimmicks. Is this edible?
I mean, it was definitely edible, but it wasn't like what y'all hyped it to. And I'm saying like food influencers. It wasn't all that.
Yes.
All right, let's keep talking about this after the break. As America turns 250, let's explore a bold question together in the city where it started. What does democracy's future look like? TED Democracy Philadelphia, Founding Futures, is a can't-miss event featuring more than 15 brand new TED Talks centered around the past, present, and future of modern democracy. So on Saturday, June 13th, at the Kimmel Center for the Performing Arts in Philadelphia, is a day designed to challenge your perspective, spark your imagination, and inspire you to take action. Ticket prices start at just $26. Use the exclusive promo code CityCastPhilly for 15% off tickets. Learn more and buy tickets at visitphilly.com/TED2026. I do want to talk about the gimmick of things. So this was sometime last year, there was controversy over this so-called gimmicky speakeasy over in Fishtown called Newsroom. And basically it was called Newsroom because the walls had books. And the other part of the gimmick, so to speak, is that you walk up and the door is not a normal door. It is a facade of a vintage Diet 7-Up vending machine. Yeah, and once you open that, then you can walk into this dark hallway, and then you enter into this restaurant, bar, speakeasy. It's dimly lit, and it's kind of like a Japanese fusion menu. It wasn't bad.
I remember when this happened, and I think I haven't gone yet, so I can't speak to it. I think I take more issue with the speakeasy thing. And I think maybe we've lost the plot a bit about that, because just when you think about the history of speakeasies, it goes back to Prohibition, right? And when you think about Philly, in particular, there's so much history around Prohibition and our Quaker-rooted laws that to this day make liquor laws in PA hard to navigate. So I just think if your whole brand is going to be based around a concept, I would like you to lean into it. And if you have the money to expand, because Newsroom they're an NYC based company, expand and use the money to make have an interesting dialogue and commentary about it. But I haven't been, so I can't critique how Newsroom in particular is doing it. But I do think the speakeasy thing, which has just been all over the internet. When I went to Copenhagen a couple years ago, there was speakeasies there. It's everywhere. I do feel that has kind of been overdone in a way that makes it less compelling now.
If you can find a speakeasy on social media, it is not a speakeasy. If your speakeasy is on Google reviews, it is not a speakeasy.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to say this. This speakeasy had someone doing aerial tricks.
Oh, that's cool.
It was cool. The music was good. I was like, yes, good DJ, good vibes. The food is affordable. I see what you're saying, Abby. I don't need the 7-Up machine. I would have been cool just walking down the hallway and just walking up in the spot. I don't need the 7-Up machine. Yeah.
Speaking of losing the plot, I hate to punch down here, but we need to talk about Wonder. They're originally from New York, and they expanded to the Philly area with about like 10 of their food halls very quickly. And their whole thing is like you can order like takeout, delivery, or like dine in with like this pre-made food from like one of their in-house restaurants or like their partnered big names. And it's supposed to be this innovative concept, but every single person I've talked to who's had it hated it. Like saying there's like either like no real flavor or it's not cooked all the way, not interesting. I haven't had it myself yet, but I remember when they had like opened, I think like in Fishtown, like there was so much promotion, like coupons and stuff. But yeah, it's like, it's not great if most of public opinion I'm hearing is saying it's not that good. So it's like in cases like that, where you're looking for a food hall experience, you might as well to go to something local like the classic Reading Terminal or over in University City, Gather Food Hall, which has been making an effort to actually partner with local restaurants and activating the space with live music and game nights and anything that is not just inviting people to eat, but actually get to know each other. So I do appreciate that aspect of, how are we really like localizing these concepts and being like a good neighbor where we are.
So you don't like coupons, but you like live music.
No. I ain't say that. You don't. I got so many gift cards, coupons shoved in my wallet right now. It's just like, be good, taste good.
Got it.
Another place I have a coupon, $25 off that I still haven't used yet is Uchi.
Siani, I have like $100 worth of coupons from Uchi I have never used yet.
And that's that sushi place from Austin. I keep getting ads for their $60 chef menu.
All right, I have $50 worth of coupons that say it expires July 9th, and then these other coupons, I'm gonna tell you how old these coupons are. It says coming soon.
Oh my gosh, it wasn't even open yet.
Coming soon to Rittenhouse. Okay, well,
so that's your next lunch ready to go.
But listen, when Siani, you talked about Wonder being like popping up in all these different places in the city, I thought about neighborhoods and which neighborhoods get these new restaurants. And it's really annoying because these places end up popping up in Center City, University City, Fishtown, Kensington, and South Philly. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go to like North Philly, doesn't go to like Germantown, Mount Airy, Roxborough. And so I don't like that.
I just wonder, like, is it a matter of, like walkability when it comes to these business corridors? Like in cases like University City, like you can bank on like all the students that are in proximity. What are like the zoning like in some of these neighborhoods, especially when we think about different overlays. I would like, just things to be spaced out more, because in some of these places, like you can have like 10 sushi places in proximity to each other. And it's like, let's spread the love. Let's spread it around the city. If we're coming in, like going back to what I mentioned earlier, some neighborhoods just having like these gaps and something new would, really be of interest.
But it's interesting too, because when I think about like Manayunk, like that feels like another hot spot, that doesn't always get new restaurants to it. But like, I think Philadelphians know that these areas, have like people walking. It's a big business corridor or whatever. Because I agree. I feel like it is really concentrated in the city center when we get new businesses. And it does feel like maybe a gap in knowledge. Because I can also imagine that, it is more expensive to rent or buy a restaurant storefront in Center City than it would be, you know, like in parts of North Philly or West or Mount Airy or like any of these other places. So
Do you think out of town businesses add to the Philly culinary scene, or does it take something away?
I feel like it depends on intent. Like, I think we mentioned this when we talked about, like, when Michelin was coming to the city and how we are worried that, like, an influx of new fancy restaurants, like, might change the scene, might raise prices, like, whatever. But I think Philadelphians can smell when someone is being genuine. And, like, if you're coming and expanding to Philly because you love the scene and you want to come in and make good food and bring like your art, your craft to the city, and you want to offer opportunities for locals to work with good pay and have good conditions and like work with local farmers and like, you know, like I think there's ways to expand that would add to the city and like Siani said, like allow us to try new things that other cities have. But if you're just trying to like capitalize off of, you know, whatever it is, whether it's the prices or the Michelin hype or whatever, and then raise food prices in our neighborhoods or not truly add, I think then that's when it's like, okay, now I'm not into you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm a little mixed on this question, to be honest, because I feel like some of the chains that come, maybe not like formally chains, but like some of the businesses, the out of town businesses that do come, they'll slap a Liberty Bell or like a John. We love Philly.
No.
And then I'm like, "Wah."
Yeah. Not genuine.
Why did you do that? Just be yourself.
Well, on the other hand, what about Philly businesses going to other cities? How do we feel about that? Because I mean, I just looking at like New York, Laser Wolf and Kafar, which are two Michael Salmanov businesses, they've been in New York for some years now. Steven Starr has 3 different restaurants in NYC, one that opened just last year. Double Knot now, the izakaya spot in Center City. They opened a location in Midtown Manhattan, right across from Rockefeller Center, just a couple months ago. So like we are out here. Philly is out here.
I think that Philly is the center of the universe, and everyone needs to realize that and is beginning to realize that, starting with our food. I think it's great that chefs reach a point where they're so successful that they're able to expand. I think you just have to hope that with any place that grows, that the quality doesn't go down or the hometown isn't left behind because of all the hype. I do prefer people experience the best of Philly food and Philly proper when possible. It's just best to go to the source for certain things, but it's nice where like maybe someone who's left Philly has a piece of home in their new spot, or you know, this is as close as people can get to experiencing some of like the good stuff that Philly has to offer.
When I thought about this question, I immediately thought of La Colombe. Such great coffee. They established their business in Philadelphia back in 1994, near Rittenhouse. And now they have cafes in New York, DC, Texas, basically all around the country.
And they're also in grocery stores too. Like I remember trying La Colombe for the first time in California from like one of the cans like that I bought at a grocery store.
So you're saying that you took a sip of Philadelphia and that's what convinced you to come over?
Not quite, but definitely when I was like, oh, La Colombe, love to see it.
What's the conclusion here? I am definitely pro local businesses, and I feel like we have so many cultural food options, just like many other major cities. But I think there are some ground rules. Don't you dare make a cheesesteak. Don't you dare call it a Philly cheesesteak. And don't you dare put John on any piece of your marketing.
Mm-hmm. And pay workers well and employ local folks at your businesses.
Because there is a chance that I'm going to fall in love with your food if it's genuinely good. Because you had me at freaking Walnut and chocolate chips and crab soup dumpling.
Exactly.
But just be authentic, be real, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, agreed. I'm Philly all the way, and I love supporting local businesses and like learning about how many businesses have been here for so long. Like, it is so hard for restaurants to be successful. It's one of the hardest industries to succeed in, owning restaurants, keeping them open. And so like I love learning about Philadelphia restaurants that have taken root and grown here and have been here for many years serving their communities. I mean, Sid Booker's Shrimp Corner. Have you guys been? It's yeah.
Nice and pink.
I haven't been in years, but in my college days, I would go there like late night for some shrimp.
Yeah.
One great thing about Sid's is that you can find parking.
Oh.
And you can take the Broad Street line.
It's a staple for
It's
late night
iconic
stuff.
in Philly. If you've been a long life Philadelphia, you know about this place.
I mean, they've literally been open since the 60s. So, you know, they've got to be doing something right. People love the shrimp. And then like I think about like when we went to Victor Cafe. They've been around since 1933. They're opera and classic Italian food. I mean, come on. What else could you want? So I'm like, just look around your neighborhood. I love learning about the people that have been around and seeing and prioritizing those businesses first always, you know.
It was really tough deciding picks for this because I think I instinctively gravitate towards Philly-owned businesses by default, or maybe the supposed New York invasion isn't as pronounced as it seems to be. Maybe only at our Sixers games, but not when it comes to restaurants. Yeah, because even just thinking like with some chains, like say Ocean Prime, for example, really great for a special occasion, you know, a little bit pricey, but, you know, it's a nice experience, really great food. But, you know, if you want a local option that's more affordable, just go right around the corner to Oyster House and get really great food.
Yeah.
So there are local alternatives to some of these larger chains or out of town businesses coming in. You can see a bunch of great Philly-owned restaurants opening monthly in our guide at the end of each month in a newsletter. But I think overall, more folks coming in, you know, adds variety, opening in areas that may be lacking a particular type of cuisine, and it's contributing to our local economy at the end of the day. You know, we need to bring the dollars into Philadelphia. It's just a matter of, you know, being a good neighbor. And I think overall, we just need to make the process of opening restaurants easier for Philly businesses, you know, while still making sure they're going through the proper channels. And like you said earlier, remembering to hire local as well.
All right, Abby, Siani, thanks so much for joining me for this conversation about out-of-town food businesses.
All right. Can't wait to spend all those Uchi coupons with you, Trenae.
I know we got until July.
Add me to the reservation.
That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Let us know your favorite out-of-town business. And also share this episode with a friend. Rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. And don't forget, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Philly neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye. I should probably not do a New York accent anymore.
I thought it was funny.